This video uses a day in the real life of working people to teach the simple past tense in context. Please listen and read along with me. Pay attention to the simple past forms of the verbs and learn the vocabulary related to common job duties. Number 1. A day in the life of a housekeeper. Maria's story. Maria works as a housekeeper at a hotel. Yesterday she arrived at work at 7:45. She changed into her uniform in the locker room, pinned her name tag onto her shirt, and walked quickly to the housekeeping station to start her shift. At the housekeeping station, Maria received her daily room list from her supervisor. She loaded her cleaning cart with towels, sheets, cleaning sprays, and other supplies. She started on the 3rd floor. Some rooms had a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the doorknob. Maria saved those rooms for later. Before she entered any room, she always knocked at the door gently and said, "Housekeeping." When Maria met guests in the hallway, she smiled and greeted them politely. In each room, she made the beds, changed the sheets, and vacuumed the carpet. She also cleaned the bathrooms and refilled the supplies. She folded the towels neatly. She checked for broken or missing items. If something was wrong, like a broken lamp or a bad smell, she reported it to her supervisor or the maintenance team. At 11:30, Maria took her lunch break. She talked briefly with her coworkers. After lunch, she cleaned rooms on the 2nd floor. By 3:30 p.m., she finished all 15 rooms on her list. She returned her cart and checked out with her supervisor. Maria felt tired, but she was also happy and proud of her work. Number 2. A day in the life of a delivery person. Tom's story. Tom works as a delivery driver for a shipping company. Yesterday, he got up at 6:00 a.m. and ate a quick breakfast. He put on his uniform and drove to the warehouse. He arrived at 6:45 and checked in with his manager. Then he received his delivery list and loaded his van with packages. At 7:30, Tom started his route. He used a scanner to track each package and followed a map on his phone. At each stop, he parked, grabbed the right package, and walked to the customer's door. He rang the doorbell, waited, and handed over the package if someone answered. If no one answered, he left the box in a safe spot and took a photo for proof of delivery. At 11, Tom took a short break and ate a sandwich in his van. Then he continued his route through the afternoon. Some buildings didn't have elevators, so he carried boxes up the stairs. Some customers thanked him, and that made him smile. At 4:00 p.m., Tom delivered his last package. One box had the wrong address, so Tom couldn't deliver it. He marked that package in his delivery app and brought it back to the warehouse. There, he unloaded the empty bins and returned the undelivered package to the storage area. After that, he checked out with his manager. Tom felt tired but proud after a long, productive day. Number 3. A day in the life of a truck driver. Jack's story. Jack is a long-distance truck driver. Yesterday he woke up at 5:30 a.m. He checked the weather and looked over his delivery schedule for the day. At 6:30, he arrived at the shipping warehouse and began the most important task of his day, inspecting his truck. Jack walked around the truck. He inspected the tires to look for any leaks. He made sure the mirrors were clean and adjusted. He checked the brakes, tested the lights, and made sure the trailer was locked and loaded correctly. He also looked under the truck for any signs of damage and checked the oil and fluid levels. Jack knew that safety was important, not just for himself, but for everyone on the road. Once everything looked good, he loaded the goods into the truck and signed the delivery papers. By 7:15, Jack was on the road. His first stop was 100 miles away. He drove through light traffic and listened to the radio to stay alert. When he arrived at the first location around 10 a.m., he backed up the truck to the loading dock and unloaded several pallets. The staff signed for the delivery, and Jack took a short break. After that, he continued his route to 2 more locations. At each stop, he checked the delivery number, spoke with staff, and unloaded the cargo carefully. He ate lunch at a roadside dinner around 1 p.m., then got back on the road. The weather turned windy in the afternoon, so he drove more slowly for safety. Jack finished his deliveries around 4:30 p.m. and returned to the warehouse. He parked the truck, turned in the paperwork, and talked briefly with his supervisor. As he drove home, he smiled because he did his job well. He felt proud to be able to provide for his family through hard work. When he walked through the door and his children ran to greet him, he felt happy and thankful to be home. Number 4. A day in the life of a grocery store worker. Elena's story. Elena works at a busy grocery store in the city. Yesterday, she woke up at 6 a.m. and got ready for work. She ate some cereal, drank a cup of tea, and took the bus to the store. She arrived at 7:30 and put on her name tag and store apron. Before her shift began, she checked the store schedule and talked briefly with her manager. Elena started her shift by stocking shelves. She unpacked boxes in the dairy section and filled the shelves with milk, cheese, and yogurt. She also checked the expiration dates and removed any old products. After that, she helped customers who had questions and guided them to the right aisles. At 11 o'clock, Elena worked at the register. She scanned groceries, bagged items, and greeted each customer politely. She took her lunch break at 1 p.m. and ate a sandwich in the break room. After lunch, she returned to the floor and organized displays near the entrance. Later in the afternoon, Elena cleaned the checkout area and restocked paper bags and receipts. Before leaving, she counted her cash drawer and gave the total to her supervisor. She finished work at 4 p.m., changed out of her uniform, and walked to the bus stop. Elena felt tired after a busy day, but she looked forward to a quiet evening at home. She planned to eat dinner, watch a movie, and relax on the couch. Number 5. A day in the life of a construction worker. Luis's story. Luis works as a construction worker on a team. They build houses together. Yesterday, after breakfast, Luis drove to the construction site in his pickup truck. He put on his work boots, helmet, and tool belt. Then he met with his supervisor and co-workers to review the day's tasks. After the supervisor talked about the progress from the day before and reminded them of the safety rules again, Luis and his co-workers started their day. Luis and two others worked on framing the second floor, while others installed windows and measured boards for cutting. Luis used a nail gun, a hammer, and a power saw. He always wore safety gear and checked his tools before using them. He climbed ladders and carried heavy wooden beams with a partner. Everyone on the team helped each other and communicated clearly to stay safe. At 12 o'clock, the workers took a lunch break. Luis sat with his team under a shaded area and ate a sandwich and some fruit. They talked about sports and shared jokes to relax. After lunch, Luis helped build part of the roof frame. He measured, cut, and nailed the boards into place. It was hot outside, so he drank plenty of water and wiped sweat from his face. The team finished the roof frame by 4 p.m. Before leaving, Luis cleaned up his area, put away his tools, and checked in with his supervisor. The supervisor praised them for the day's progress. As he drove home, he listened to music and hummed along. He looked forward to watching a football game on TV. Number 6. A Day in the Life of a Landscaper. Carlos's Story. Carlos works as a landscaper for a small company. The company takes care of lawns, gardens, and outdoor spaces. Yesterday, he woke up at 6 a.m. He ate breakfast and packed a water bottle, gloves, and his tools. At 6:45, he drove to the company yard to meet his team. At 7 o'clock, Carlos and his co-workers loaded their truck with equipment, mowers, trimmers, rakes, and shovels. The team received the day's schedule from their supervisor and headed out to their first job, a large home with a big backyard. When they arrived, Carlos mowed the lawn while another team member trimmed the bushes. He raked the leaves and bagged the grass clippings. After that, he planted flowers along the front walkway and watered all the garden beds. It was hot, so Carlos drank water often and wore his hat to stay cool. Around noon, the team took a break under a tree and ate lunch together. They talked and rested before driving to the next location. In the afternoon, they worked at a small office building. Carlos pulled weeds, laid down new mulch, and swept the walkway. At 4 p.m., the team returned to the company yard. They cleaned the tools, refueled the machines, and checked in with the supervisor. As Carlos drove home, he looked forward to a shower, dinner, and relaxing after a busy day outside. Number 7. A Day in the Life of a Caregiver. Rosa's Story. Rosa works as a caregiver for an elderly woman named Mrs. Peterson. Yesterday, Rosa took the bus to Mrs. Peterson's home. She arrived at 7:30 and greeted her kindly with a smile. First, Rosa prepared breakfast, oatmeal, toast, and tea. She helped Mrs. Peterson sit at the table and served the meal. After breakfast, she gave her medicine and helped her get dressed for the day. Then Rosa tidied up the kitchen, washed the dishes, and made the bed. Later in the morning, Rosa and Mrs. Peterson went for a short walk in the garden. They talked, laughed, and enjoyed the sunshine. When they came back, Rosa read a chapter from Mrs. Peterson's favorite book while she rested in her chair. At noon, Rosa cooked a light lunch and sat with Mrs. Peterson while she ate. Afterward, she checked her blood pressure and wrote notes in the health log. In the afternoon, Rosa did some laundry and folded clothes. She also helped Mrs. Peterson do some light exercises in her chair. At 4 p.m., Rosa prepared a small snack and set out Mrs. Peterson's evening medication. Before leaving, she talked with Mrs. Peterson's daughter on the phone to give an update. Rosa said goodbye to Mrs. Peterson and promised to come back the next morning. On the way home, she felt tired but also thankful because she took care of someone. Number 8. A Day in the Life of a Warehouse Worker. Malik's Story. Malik works at a busy warehouse. The warehouse stores electronics and home goods. Yesterday, he arrived at the warehouse just before 6:45. He put on his steel-toe boots, safety vest, and gloves. At the start of the shift, Malik and his co-workers met with their team leader to go over the day's schedule. Malik checked the loading area and organized his scanner, clipboard, and packing materials. He unloaded boxes from a delivery truck. He used a forklift for large items and a cart for smaller ones. Next, he scanned each box and placed it in the correct storage area. He repacked some boxes, taped them shut, and labeled them clearly. He worked carefully to avoid damage and followed safety rules at all times. At 10:30, Malik took a short break in the lunchroom. He drank some water and talked with a co-worker about their weekend plans. After the break, he picked items from the shelves for customer orders and packed them into shipping boxes. Then he weighed the boxes and printed shipping labels. By 2:30 p.m., Malik finished his tasks for the day. He cleaned up his work area, checked out with his supervisor, and turned in his scanner and equipment. He felt tired but satisfied with his work. As he drove home, he looked forward to relaxing and getting some rest before another early shift. Number 9. A Day in the Life of a Factory Assembler. Nina's Story. Nina works as an assembler in a factory. The factory makes small electronic parts. Yesterday, she arrived at work at 6:30 and clocked in for her shift. Before starting, Nina washed her hands, put on safety gloves, and checked her workstation. At 7, she joined her team and listened to the morning meeting. The supervisor reviewed the day's production goals and safety reminders. Nina used small tools and machines to assemble parts. She followed step-by-step instructions carefully to make sure everything was correct. After completing each unit, she inspected the pieces and placed them into a tray for quality control. She stayed focused and worked steadily to meet the production target. At 10, she took a short break and chatted with her co-workers in the break room. She drank water and rested for a few minutes. After the break, she continued working on the next batch of parts. Around noon, she ate lunch in the cafeteria. In the afternoon, Nina helped a new employee learn how to use a machine. She answered questions and explained each step with patience. At 3 p.m., Nina cleaned up her area, turned off the machines, and reported to her supervisor. She clocked out and changed into her regular clothes. Nina felt happy. She thought of her children and smiled. She looked forward to holding them in her arms. Number 10. A Day in the Life of an Auto Mechanic. Vitali's story. Vitali works as an auto mechanic at a busy garage in the city. Yesterday, he woke up at 6 a.m. and had a quick breakfast. He left home early, but there was heavy traffic on the highway. Because of the traffic, he arrived at the garage late, around 7:30 a.m., and quickly changed into his uniform. He checked the schedule for the day and prepared his tools. His first job was an oil change for a customer's car. He lifted the car, drained the old oil, and replaced the filter. After that, he checked the brakes on a small truck. The customer said the brakes made a strange noise. Vitali found worn brake pads and explained the problem. Then he replaced the pads and tested the brakes. At 11:30, Vitali took a short break and ate lunch with his coworkers. In the afternoon, he worked on a car that wouldn't start. He tested the battery, checked the wires, and found a problem with the starter. He fixed it and made sure the car started smoothly. At the end of the day, Vitali cleaned his work area, returned his tools, and filled out repair reports. Just before he was about to leave, his boss asked him to stay 2 extra hours to help with an urgent repair. Vitali agreed. He called his wife and then picked up his tools again. When he left the garage at 7:30 p.m., he felt tired but glad. He earned some extra money and looked forward to a home-cooked meal. Thanks for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions about this video, leave a comment down below.